Hello, hello, hello. Hi, beautiful and amazing people. Welcome to the Wealthy Trustee webinar. So tonight I am going to be teaching you guys the steps that you need to take in order to create a trust. So if you came here to know and understand what setting up a trust looks like, you are in the right place. So I have a brief presentation for you guys. So we'll go through a couple of slides, and then after that, I will open up the floor for Q&A so that I can answer any and all questions that you guys have based on the webinar presentation. So I just want to check the pulse in the room. How is everybody doing today? How have you guys started the new year so far? Okay, I see the thumbs up. Great. Okay. Amazing. Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, happy. All right, well, it is 2026, so I'm super excited. And I know that this is going to be the best year so far. So without further ado, I'm going to get started and we'll just dive right into this webinar, okay? So let me share my screen here. Give me one moment. All right, you guys. And I'm just gonna mute everyone. All right. Yep. So, let's just dive right in. So the objective for tonight is for you guys to learn what a trust is, some different wealth building strategies, some tax strategies. You're going to learn how to actually operate a trust, so what that looks like, the different contributors of the trust, and what it looks like as far as asset protection. Now, let's dive in. So my name is Christine Ebed. I'm the founder of Seven Ways to Wealth. So I am a trust strategist. I have been a trustee for a decade now. So this is going to be my 11th year operating a trust. I set up my trust in 2015 when I became a real estate investor. So before I was a real estate investor, before I was a trustee, I was a registered nurse. And the reason why I got into trusteeship is because I was tired of the rat race. So I was working 12-hour shifts as we do in the hospital. I was working from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. And I was frustrated because I was working 5 and 6 days a week. And at that time, I had a 1-year-old baby that I couldn't take care of him because I had to work and I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was making $21 an hour as a nurse and working 5, 6 days. And so I was frustrated because I realized at that point in time that I was spending more time in the hospital with my patients and coworkers than I was at home with my baby. And so it dawned on me that I needed a second stream of income. I needed to be able to have income come in from somewhere else and not depend on my paycheck so that I could work my 3 days as a nurse and then I have 4 days that I'm able to stay home with my 1-year-old baby. So I was driving to work one day and there's this guy, his name is Dan Merrill, he flips houses. And so he's like, "Do you want to learn how to flip houses?" So in the car, I was like, "Yeah, I do want to learn how to flip houses." And so I signed up for a 3-day seminar. I went in person and I learned so much about real estate investing and I learned about how to flip houses. And 6 months after I attended that seminar, I bought my first property. So at that point in time, I was young, I was 25 years old, and I ended up buying this property and I didn't use any of my own money, which I absolutely am so grateful for. So I had a hard money lender. My hard money lender put 100% of the money up. And I asked him, I said, "Would you be my mentor?" So he agreed. And the first thing that he told me was, "You need to take this property out of the LLC and you need to put it into a trust." And so remember, I'm young, 25, never owned a property before, so I didn't understand. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And so my hard money lender, at that point in time, this was an older gentleman in his 60s. His net worth was 200 million. He had, thousands of properties. So I said, well, there's something that he knows that I don't know. And so I took heed to the advice and I set up a trust and I placed that property into a trust because I did not want anyone to be able to take that property from me, right? I'm young, 25, a woman, did not want to be taken advantage of, didn't want to be sued. There was so much traffic happening with that property where people are going in and out, all these contractors and subcontractors, because it was being renovated. So I didn't want someone to get injured, step on a nail, get hit by a plywood, and be able to take the property away from me. So I put it into a trust so that I could protect it. So that was 11 years ago, and I have been operating within trustee ever since. Okay. So what I want to do tonight is I just want to educate you guys and teach you the tools that you need in order to protect your assets. Okay. So let's dive into for you to better understand what a trust is, right? So, a trust is an entity, it is a living, breathing entity. And the way that you actually create this entity is by way of a contract. So, it is actually called a contractual entity, okay? And so, you're going to create a contract, and there's several different parties involved in this contract, okay? You're going to create a contract and then you're going to legalize it, and now you're able to operate this entity. Okay. Now, there's two different parties. There's two different parts of the contract with several different parties, and I'll talk about the parties in just a moment. So, the first part of the contract is the declaration where you're declaring what it is and what it is not. So, you're declaring that it is a trust that you're setting up and that you're not setting up a partnership or limited liability company or a corporation or any of those other types of legal entities that can be operated in society. Okay. Now, the second part is an indenture. That is where you have all the rules and regulations of how you want the trust to be operated. So we call these bylaws, okay? And so one person, which is the fiduciary, is going to carry out the bylaws. Now, once again, this trust is a living, breathing entity, so it can do anything and everything that you can do as a person. So a lot of us, we don't see ourselves as living, breathing entities, but we are, right? So we are entities out here in society. So how do we operate in society? We operate with our first and last name and our social security. That is how we're navigating through the world, okay? And so with the trust also has a legal name that you would choose, and it also has a social security, which is called an EIN number. So this trust is also going to operate just like you in society with the name and the EIN, okay? And so a trust can do anything and everything that you can do. So for example, if you can buy a house, a trust can buy a house. If you can buy a car, a trust can buy a car. If you can write a book, a trust can also write a book. So there's no limitations to what a trust can and cannot do, okay? So now that we understand that, let's understand the different parties involved in the actual setup of this trust contract, okay? The first party is the grantor. So the grantor is the creator of the trust, and they're creating the trust with the trustee. Okay, so those are the two individuals that are creating the trust. Okay, so it is a two-party contract. Now, the grantor, when you're doing your research, you might hear other terms that are referring to grantor, like settlor or trustor. Okay, and now that person is creating the trust, and they're also going to put the initial gift inside of the trust. Okay, so they're going to donate something inside of the trust so that the trust is then able to be fully operated. The next party involved is the trustee. So the trustee is the controller of the trust. They control all the assets that are inside of the trust. They operate the trust on a day-to-day basis. So that is who we assign as the fiduciary. Okay, so that's the person who's able to sign on behalf of the trust, right? The trust is a living, breathing entity, but the trust cannot operate itself. It needs someone to operate it, and that someone is the trustee. The next one is the beneficiary. So the beneficiary is the inheritor of the trust. That is the person who's going to be receiving the assets that are inside of the trust once the trust is dissolved. Okay. So once this trust is terminated, then those assets have to go directly to the beneficiary. But in the meantime, while the trust is existing, the beneficiary will receive what we call distribution. So they have distribution rights to receive either gifts or some type of money on a regular basis. Okay. So now that we understand that there are several different parties involved, let's talk about the different types of trust. There are hundreds of different types of trust. Every single trust falls under these categories that I'm about to give you. Okay. The first category is express versus implied. So an express trust is a written trust where it's in a contract style, right? So it's actually in writing versus an implied trust. So an implied trust is where there's that oral agreement, so it's verbal. So there is no physical contract that you can actually touch, okay? The next type of category that I want to give you is simple versus complex. So a simple trust is shorter in nature, so that means that there's less rules and regulations. With this type of trust, the trustee is required to give out the distribution. So everything that comes inside of the trust has to go out as a distribution versus a complex trust. So a complex trust means that it's longer in nature, so it has more rules and regulations. And with that type of trust, distributions are not required. So that means that money can stay sitting inside of the trust and it can be held there and doesn't have to be distributed to the beneficiaries. The next type of category is discretionary versus non-discretionary. So a discretionary trust is where the trustee has full discretion to be able to make decisions for the trust that are not inside of the contract. And non-discretionary means that the trustee cannot make decisions for the trust or on behalf of the trust if it's not inside of the contract. The next category that I want to give you guys is statutory versus non-statutory. So a statutory trust is where every single state has their own laws. Those laws are called state statutes and codes. So with the statutory trust, what we're saying is that the state statutes and codes are embedded inside of the contract. With that type of trust, because the state statutes are embedded inside of the contract, you can only use that trust in that one state, okay? And unfortunately, that trust is going to be registered with the state and available on the public record, which means that everyone is able to search and find your trust and they can see what's inside of your trust. So they can see all of the pages of the contract, they can see the net worth, they can see the assets, they can see who the beneficiaries are, okay? Versus a non-statutory trust. So a non-statutory trust is where the state statutes and codes are not embedded inside of the contract. So that means that you can use this type of trust in the entire nation, not only in one state. So you can use it in the whole entire US plus all of the US territories as well. So you're not limited. The other part is that you get to actually maintain the privacy because it's not required to be registered, which means that the trust is not going to be available on the public records. The last category that I want to give you guys is revocable versus irrevocable. So when we are referring to revocable, we're referring to revocability. And so we're only referring to one party. That one party is the grantor. So what we're saying is that with a revocable trust, the grantor has revocability to be able to make changes. They can terminate the trust. They can remove the trustees and beneficiaries. If they were to put assets inside of the trust, then they can take those assets out. Typically, with a revocable trust, the grantor is also the trustee and the beneficiary. So they serve as all three parties in that contract. Because they're all three parties in the contract, what happens is this type of trust is seen as their alter ego because it doesn't have its own separate EIN, so it's actually operating off of the social security number of the grantor. So because it's seen as the alter ego of the grantor, creditors can come after a revocable trust. So your assets are not protected at all with a revocable trust. The only thing that a revocable trust can help you do is avoid probate, okay? Now, on the contrary to that, you have an irrevocable trust. With an irrevocable trust, the grantor, trustee, and beneficiary have to be separate individuals. They cannot be the same individual. Now, the grantor has what we call irrevocability, which means that they cannot make changes to the trust or any amendments. They cannot remove the trustees or beneficiaries. They cannot terminate the trust. And if they were to put assets inside of the trust, they cannot revoke or take those assets back. So with that type of trust, your assets are fully protected, and creditors cannot come after this trust. Now, if this type of trust was to end up in litigation, then what would happen is the judge would decide not to pierce through an irrevocable trust. But if you were to have a revocable trust that was in litigation, the judge would decide to pierce through a revocable trust. So you just want to be able to know and understand the different types of trust, okay? So when it comes to you actually creating your trust, the first step is for you to determine the type of trust that you want to create. Remember, I just gave you a list of different categories. Now, if you want to have your assets fully protected, then you want to establish what we call a bulletproof trust. That's a trust that is going to hold up in court and it's not going to be penetrated through the court system. So that trust has to fall within the following categories. So first, it has to be complex in nature. It has to be expressed, so it's in writing, right? It has a physical, tangible contract. It has to be fully discretionary. It has to be non-statutory, and it has to be irrevocable. So it has to fall within those 5 categories in order for it to truly be bulletproof and impenetrable, and your assets be fully protected, okay? So just do your due diligence, do your research, find out what type of trust is the best trust for you and your family. Step 2 is for you to determine the trust name. So once you decide, hey, yes, I want to go ahead and set up a trust, then you need to name the trust, okay? So when it comes to naming the trust, the biggest mistake that I see people make is that they'll name the trust after themselves. So if your name is Jessica Smith, then you'll name the trust the Jessica Smith Trust. That is the biggest mistake that you can make because a trust is used for privacy. And so you do not want anyone to know that you're associated with the trust. So you're not going to name the trust after yourself. So you want to use unique and distinct names that are not going to tie back to you. Okay. So for example, if you want to use the word holding, then you can say, Cranberry Holding, right? So Cranberry Holding is the name of your trust, but nobody knows that Jessica Smith is the trustee of Cranberry Holding, okay? So that's just an example. The second thing that I need you to know is that you don't have to have the word trust in the actual name either, okay? So a lot of people, they'll put the word trust in it, but it's not required. So you don't even have to let people know that the type of entity that you're operating is a trust, okay? So now that you have determined what the name of the trust is going to be, you need to appoint the different parties involved in the contract. So you have to appoint a grantor. So you are either going to be the grantor if it's revocable, or you're not going to be the grantor if it's irrevocable. You're going to appoint the trustee. So I would tell everyone that you would definitely want to be the trustee of your trust if you want to have full control over the assets and the funds that are inside of the trust and operating the trust. Next, you're going to appoint your beneficiaries. So typically your beneficiaries are your next of kin or your children. And lastly, you're going to appoint the successor trustee. So the successor trustee is the individual that's going to take over after you in the event that something happens to you. So a lot of us, we don't even have a successor plan in place, but you definitely need to be able to, because the successor trustee they just pick up where you left off. In the event that something happens, meaning if you become incapacitated, if you decide that you want to resign, or if you expire, then what's going to happen is the successor is going to pick up where you left off and continue to operate the trust, because the trust is designed to outlive you. So you want to have that person already in place, okay? Now, let's move on to step 3. So in step 3, we're actually going to create the trust agreement. So remember, we're creating a contract, right? Inside of the contract, we're going to have the right provisions, like I said, that are going to hold up in court. We're also going to have what we call spendthrift provisions, right? So that is where you're going to put yourself in a position to where you're controlling the money from the grave. So there you're going to have restrictions, like you can have education restrictions for the beneficiaries, right? You can have marital restrictions. You can have distribution restrictions. So you can tell them what they can and cannot spend the money on. So those are very important. You can also have age restrictions, meaning that they cannot use trust funds until they're 25 years old, right? Or they have to have a college education, right? So there's so many different variables that you can use inside of the trust in order to maximize, what you have inside of these provisions. Now, let's move on to step 4. In step 4, you're going to actually legalize the trust. So that means that you're going to notarize it. So it's going to require 2 signatures in order for it to be fully executed. So it's going to require the grantor signature and the trustee's signature. It's going to be notarized by a notary public. And once they sign as a witness and place their seal, then you can start using the trust. So once you have the trust notarized, the first thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and open up that trust fund account. You want to go ahead and open up a bank account for the trust, you guys, okay? So what does that look like? Well, there are several different steps that you need to take. First and foremost is that every single bank doesn't offer a trust account. So you need to make sure that you're going to establish a relationship with the right financial institution. So some of these financial institutions can be banks, credit unions, and even brokerage firms, okay? Now, the types of accounts that you can open up is a checking account, a savings account. You can open up a money market account. You can open up a cash management account. So all of those constitute as a trust fund, okay? So a trust fund is the bank account where you are going to house or store trust funds, okay? So that is the money that belongs to the trust, okay? Now, when you go to these financial institutions, there's 2 things that you're going to bring with you. The first one is the certificate of trust. That is proof of identity that the trust exists, okay? So just like how you walk around with a driver's license, the trust is also going to walk around with proof of identity. So your driver's license has your name, your address, an ID number. So the certificate of trust also has the name, the address, the ID number, the date of birth, all of these things, okay? So be mindful of that. And the second thing is your EIN number. So we obtain an EIN number with the IRS for banking purposes. So you'll have that confirmation letter with you as well. So those are the 2 things, plus proof of identity that you're the trustee. The trustee is the one that's going to go ahead and open up the bank account for the trust. The trustee is the authorized signator on the trust accounts, okay? So the next thing, after you open up a bank account for the trust, then what you're going to do is you're going to fund it with whatever the minimum is or whatever the amount that you want to actually put inside of the account. So some of these banks, their minimum is $100. Some banks are $500. Some banks are $1,000. It just depends on who you decide to establish a financial, a banking relationship with whatever financial institution, okay? Now, you can either go with the minimum or you can put whatever amount that you want, okay? So once you fund the trust, right, and fund the actual bank account, now the next thing that you need to do is you need to transfer assets into that trust, okay? That is the only way that those assets are going to be protected if they're in the name of the trust. This is the mistake that I see people make. All right, so they'll go ahead and set up a trust, but never legally transfer the assets inside of the trust. So the way that you transfer assets is first, you're going to list it inside of the trust documents, okay? So there's a schedule inside of the indenture. You're going to list the property. So let's just say that we're talking about real estate. Let's just say that we're talking about your primary residence, right, where you live. So you're going to list it on the schedule. You're going to put that property address. Right? Now, when you bought that property, they gave you a deed, okay? So your name is on the deed. So what you need to do is you need to take your name off of the deed and you need to redeed that property into the name of the trust. So you're going to prepare a new deed, and then from there, you're going to deed it over from your personal name into the name of the trust. Then you're going to go ahead and record that deed with the county recorder's office. And now they are going to process that new deed and it's going to represent and show on the public records that that property is now owned by a trust, okay? And so now the property is fully protected because you have legally transferred it into the name of the trust, which is definitely what you want to do, okay? So let's continue on. So the next thing is regarding asset protection, right? So a trust can actually protect you from a lot of the things that you see here. A trust can protect you from bankruptcy, divorce, foreclosure, heavy taxes, lawsuits, and even probate. So for example, let's talk about divorce, right? A lot of people, they don't know that a divorce is definitely a transfer of wealth, right? Where and it's a lawsuit between two people. So it's a lawsuit between two spouses. And inside of the divorce, you're going to include everything that you personally own, right? All of your assets and all of your liabilities, right? So the beautiful thing about a trust is that you are not the trust is not you. So if you set up a trust and you have assets in that trust, like a house, a car, cash money, they cannot pull that trust into your divorce, okay? So that means that all the assets that are inside of your trust are fully protected because the divorce is everything that's in your personal name, okay? They cannot pull that trust into the divorce, which is definitely what you want. You want to protect yourself in the event of something like this happening, okay? The next thing is heavy taxes, right? So a lot of us, we are giving away half of our money to the government, right? And a lot of us, we don't know that the government taxes you when you die. So there's a death tax, there's an inheritance tax, right? Outside of your normal taxes. And so a trust can actually put you in a position to where you can transfer your wealth to the next generation without having to pay those heavy taxes, right? The next one is a lawsuit. So a lot of us, we are walking around here thinking that we're not going to get sued, right? When we live in a country which is a highly sue-friendly country, right? Literally everyone wants to sue you, right? Your sibling wants to sue you. Your neighbor wants to sue you. Your employer wants to sue you. Your employee wants to sue you. Everyone wants to sue you. But we're walking around here thinking that, you know, that we're not going to get sued, right? And so I don't want you to wait until you're getting sued for you to protect yourself from a lawsuit, right? So trust can actually protect you from a lawsuit. So one example I want to give you is, let's just say that you are a business owner, right? And you are operating an LLC. What does LLC stand for? So a lot of people They think that the LLC is the end all be all. So what does LLC stand for? You guys can come off mute, let me know.
Limited liability.
Yeah, exactly. Limited liability. Okay. So you actually hear it in the name of the entity, right? So if you're operating an LLC, it stands for limited liability company, which means that the company has limited liability. So if the company has limited liability, who do you think has the other portion of that liability?
The owner.
Exactly. The owner. Thank you for answering. So the owner. Now, let me ask you this. For those of you guys on the call that have an LLC, who is the owner of your LLC?
You are.
I am.
Exactly. Exactly. So a lot of people think that they are protected in business because they're operating an LLC, when in all actuality, the LLC has limited liability and you are also liable. So you need to remove yourself as the owner of that LLC so that you are no longer liable for what happens to the company, right? Because, for example, let's just say that, that you're running a business, and one of your clients decide that they want to sue you, right? It's so easy for them to be able to find out who the owner of the LLC is because everything's available on the public records through the Secretary of State. All they have to do is go to the Secretary of State's website, put in the name of the company, and all of your information shows up because you're the owner of the LLC. Right. And so you need to be able to remove yourself from the public records, remove yourself as that owner so that you are no longer liable just in case a client or customer wants to sue you. So what you're going to do is you're going to establish a trust. That trust is now going to be the owner of the LLC. So you'll remove yourself and you'll add the trust. So now the trust is going to be operating as a holding company and it's going to hold that LLC, and the trust is going to be fully liable for the LLC 100%. So that means that if anything happens to the LLC, then the trust is going to take full liability. Because at the end of the day, right, the way that you're operating right now, you are putting yourself at risk. You're putting your entire family at risk, right? Because we are, the authorized members, right? So with LLCs, you have authorized members. So we're the authorized member. So if somebody tries to sue your trusts, right? No, excuse me. So if somebody tries to sue your LLC tomorrow, right? Let's just say that they tried to, sue your LLC and now your LLC ends up losing, right? And there's a judgment now for $500,000, right? They're going to go after the LLC for the 500,000. But if the LLC doesn't have 500,000 to be able to cover that judgment, then what do you think the judge is going to do?
Go after your assets.
Yes. So you're completely right. You're correct. So what's going to happen is a lot of us, we have what we call a corporate veil, right? And that's what the LLC is. It's a corporate veil. So the judge is going to pierce through the corporate veil. And the judge is going to go after the owner of the LLC, which is you. And so now what the judge can do is the judge can actually seize all of your assets, right, in order to cover that judgment. So that means your house, your car. They can also garnish your entire bank account and all of your wages. If you have W-2 or 1099 income that comes from other places, they can garnish all of that. All of this can happen in order to fulfill that judgment against the LLC. So you do not want that to happen. You don't want a judge to be able to take your house away, where you and your children live. So you have to protect yourself from this, which means that you need to be doing business the right way. So your LLC needs to be owned by an entity, not a human being. Okay. So it's time for us to get restructured, because now that we know this information, we have to, do better, and we have to do better and get properly structured. Okay. So that's one. Let's move on to the next one, which is probate, right? So my next question to you guys is if you have a property, right? Let's just say that you have a house, right? And this house is in your personal name. How, and you didn't wake up tomorrow, how do you expect that house to be transferred to your son or your daughter if this house is in your personal name? So somebody guess. Take a wild guess for me.
You have to go to court.
Yes, of course. Of course you had to go to court. Wait a minute. Like, so I'm the homeowner, right? My name is on the deed. I didn't wake up tomorrow. I no longer exist. So how is that property going to be legally transferred if I no longer exist? That means that whoever wants the property, my son or my daughter, has to now go to court. So that means that I have left it up to a judge to be able to decide if my son or daughter is going to get my house, right? So that is you doing your family a complete disservice, right? And so we need to avoid this. So this is what we call the probate process, right? So I'm going to break down what probate is, because a lot of us, we have bought into the lie that society has told us. So this is what the lie that society has told us, right? They said that, oh, your house is automatically going to go to your children, right? And so that is the biggest lie that we have believed, right? And a lot of us, we think, oh, I only have one son, I only have one daughter, so my house and my car and my bank account is going to go straight to my one child, right? It's not true. So what ends up happening is if you have all of these assets, right? Let's just say you have a house, that big, beautiful house with the white picket fence. Let's just say you have a car. Let's just say you got, 6 figures in the bank, right? What's going to happen is if you don't wake up tomorrow and you have all these things in your personal name, then the state where you're a resident, they're going to create an estate for you, right? And a lot of us, we think that, oh, I'm going to be good because I have a will, right? A will is a wish list, you guys. So a will is a wish list. It is a legal instrument, right? It is a set of instructions that is designed to be carried out in the probate process. So with a will, you automatically go to court, right? So a will is a wish list where you're wishing, I wish my daughter will get my house. I wish my son will get my car, right? That is what a will is. A will is not an entity. A will cannot own anything. A lot of people think, oh, because I have a will, everything's going to be all right? When in all actuality, no, your children are automatically going to go to court, right? They're automatically going to go to probate, right? And so now let's review what probate looks like. So the first thing is that because you only had a will, and you have all these assets, right? The state where you're a resident, they're going to create an estate for you. So they create a living entity for a dead person, okay? So they're going to create an estate for you. They're going to call it the Jessica Smith estate, okay? And so now they're going to legally transfer all of your assets into that estate, your house, your car, and the bank account with the $500,000, okay? So now your estate goes straight to probate. It's in the probate court, and so it needs to be represented by a probate attorney, right? And then because it's in the court system, the first thing that the judge does is the judge is going to fulfill all of your liabilities, which means that the judge is going to pay off all of your debt. Whatever debt that you had at the end of life, right? So that means that if you had student loan debt from 30 years ago, they're going to pay that off, right? So they're going to start eating away at the estate, right? Start paying off all of those things. If you have credit card debt, if you have personal loans, if you have one of the things that people don't think about is medical bills, right? So just think about it. At the end of life, do you know how much medical bills you're going to rack up, right? You were sitting in the ICU for a week, right? Or you were in a nursing home, or you were at a rehabilitation center, right? And so we don't know what that's going to look like, right? But those hospital bills, ER, that's a pretty penny. Sometimes it's six figures, right? And so Medicare, Medicaid, they want to be reimbursed. So they go after your estate to get reimbursed for the medical bills, for the hospital bills, for the nursing home, right? And so what they're going to do is they're going to go after your estate. What is the judge going to do? The judge is going to take that money that is sitting inside of your bank account and is going to reimburse Medicare, Medicaid, and start paying off those student loans and those credit cards, right? Now, if you don't have enough liquid cash inside of that bank account, then the judge is going to start liquidating your assets, which means that the judge has just decided to sell your house to be able to pay off your medical bills, right? And so now you have your children that unfortunately they are fighting, right? So you have to understand the position that your children are in, right? So the first thing is that they're grieving. They just lost the most important person in their entire life. I know because I lost my mother. So they just lost the most important person in their entire life. And they're grieving, but you are forcing them to go into court to fight for mom's house, to fight for dad's house. Why? Because you didn't have your affairs in order while you were living. So now they're either fighting each other, which we've seen it, siblings fight each other. So the siblings are either fighting each other or they're fighting the court system to keep mom and dad's house, right? And so now that's what's transpiring. So the children are trying to keep the house and the judge is like, no, we have to sell this house so that we can pay off Medicaid, right? And so that is what's transpiring in the probate court system, unfortunately, right? And so once all of your liabilities are paid off, whatever is left over is what your children get. Your children get the leftovers. So unfortunately, our children are losing their inheritance. They're not receiving it. They're not receiving the entire thing. Why? Because we don't have the right tools and information in order to set them up for success, right? We're just leaving it up to the system, right? And the system is not designed to benefit them. The system is designed to benefit Medicare, Medicaid, the government, right? The big corporations, right? So with that being said, a lot of people are not aware that probate can be avoided, right? So we're all going to go through probate. It is unavoidable, right? Unless you have one thing. The one thing that you need is a trust. A trust entity is the only way that you can avoid probate. There is no other way. So if you don't have a trust, you and your family are going straight to probate. If you do have a trust, then you and your family can avoid this entire process. And the reason being is because you're creating an entity that is a living, breathing entity that is designed to outlive you. I'm going to say it again. The trust is designed to outlive you. So let's look at this same situation, but from a different outlook, right? So let's just say that you decided, well, I'm going to create my estate now while I'm living. I'm going to go ahead and create a trust. I'm going to transfer my house, my car, and the $500,000 that I have in the bank account into the trust, right? I'm the trustee. I'm operating the trust. I don't wake up tomorrow. Well, what's going to happen is my successor trustee is going to pick up where I left off. They're going to now become the trustee and they're going to continue to operate the trust. My children are listed as the beneficiaries. My children are going to benefit from the trust. They're going to receive distributions. And once the trust is dissolved, then they will receive the assets that are inside of the trust. My children now get to grieve in peace because they don't have to go to court. They don't have to go to probate. This whole entire process is avoided. And my debt the debt that I had at the end of life, right? All those creditors, right? All of that debt is going to die with me because I don't have anything in my personal name. All of the assets are inside of the trust. So those creditors have nothing to go after. So they discharge all of that debt. That debt dies with me. Okay. So that is the process that your family will go through and that you will go through if you create your estate now while you're living. Okay. So with that being said, let's continue on. Let's jump back into the presentation and see what else we got. All right, so this is the wealth building formula. I have three pillars here. The first one is structure, the second one is credit, the last one is invest. So when it comes to structure, everyone needs to have a for-profit and nonprofit within their structure if you want to be properly structured, okay? So it's highly recommended. Now, when you are thinking about your structure, right, you need to have a solid foundation. And so the foundation of you actually building wealth the right way is for you to have a trust, okay? So you want to also think about having multiple trusts within your structure, okay? You don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket, which means that you don't want to put all of your trust, all of your assets in one trust, okay? So let's talk about the different types of trust, right? So you have three different types of trust here. You have a business trust, a family trust, and a tax-exempt nonprofit trust. So with the business trust, right, this trust you can operate in two different ways. The first way is that you can operate it as a holding company, which means it is basically the example that I gave you earlier, where the business trust, right, because it's going to own the LLC or the corporation, it's going to be non-operational. So the LLC or the corporation is going to be the operating entity where it has employees, it has products, it has services. And then you have the business trust, which is non-operational, meaning that it doesn't have any employees, it doesn't offer any products or services, and it's just there to hold the LLC. Okay, so it's just there to own the LLC. Okay, so that is going to put yourself in a position to where that asset, which is your LLC, a lot of people don't look at their LLCs and corporations as assets, but they are. That asset is protected. Okay. The other way is if you want to operate a traditional business, then you can establish the business trust as a fully operational business or company. Okay. So let's just say that you're operating it as a holding company. So if you are, then it's holding the LLC. So let's just say that the LLC generates $100,000, right? That LLC that generates $100,000, that $100,000 can be distributed to the business trust, okay? So if it's distributed to the business trust through like a K-1 distribution, then the business trust is going to receive the $100,000 as a form of income. Now, one thing about the trust that I love is that you are going to spend the money first and be taxed on the leftovers, which means that that 100,000 that came in, you're going to spend whatever money that you need to spend from that 100,000, and whatever's left over is what is going to be your tax liability. Okay. So out of the 100,000, let's just say that you have operating expenses. Those operating expenses are equivalent to $30,000. So now you have $70,000 that's left, right? And so out of this $70,000, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. So trusts are tax the trusts are taxed, at 37%. So you would have to pay a high amount of taxes on it. And so one of the things that I love about trust is that you can actually distribute to the beneficiaries, right? And so if you distribute that 70,000 to the beneficiary, then your tax liability is zero, okay? So what we do is we make the beneficiary of the business trust the family trust. Why? Because funds from the business trust need to flow into the family trust to provide for the family, okay? So the family trust is the beneficiary. So we have 70,000, and that 70,000 is going to be distributed to the family trust, and the family trust is going to receive that distribution as income. So that 70,000 on the business trust is that distribution is 100% tax deductible. So that means that we had 30,000 that was written off as operating expenses, and then we distributed 70,000. So out of the 100,000, we have a 0% tax liability. So now we're all done paying taxes for the business trust. So now let's go to the family trust, right? With the family trust, your beneficiaries are going to be your children, okay? And so you just received 70,000 in income. And once again, the trust, right, spends the money first and is taxed on the leftovers. So, what does it look like in order to operate the family trust? Well, the family trust has mortgage, has property taxes, has gas, has tuition, has all of these expenses, right? Insurance policies, utility bills, all of these expenses, right? So let's just say it costs 60,000 in order to operate the family trust. So that's going to be written off. And then there's going to be 10,000 left, right? So you would pay the taxes on the 10,000. Or another thing that you can do is you can do a charitable contribution. So if you do a charitable contribution, then you can donate that 10,000 to a charity of your choice. And so if you have a tax exempt nonprofit trust, that's a charitable trust, then you can donate it to that charity. So now on the family trust level, you have a 0% tax liability. And on the tax exempt trust level, what happens is you just received a donation of $10,000. So with this donation, right, when you're receiving money into this entity, it has to be labeled as either a donation or a tithe. And if it is labeled as that, then it is exempt from federal taxes. Okay. So it is what we call an automatic exemption, so that you do not have to file a 501c3, right? So this type of trust is designated as a 508c1a. So these types of entities can be labeled as churches, can be labeled as a faith-based organization or a ministry or a school. Okay. Now, with this type of organization is automatically exempt from federal taxes because of the separation between church and state. So, for-profit entities, right, you can donate up to 60% of your annual gross income. So, for example, let's just say that you're a W-2 income earner, right? And you make $100,000 per year. The IRS will allow you to donate up to 60% of your annual gross income, which means that you can donate up to $60,000 of that $100,000 income that you have on your W-2, and you can put it into your charitable trust, right? And so that is going to be a write-off, and now you're going to be taxed on 40% versus 100% of your income, okay? So this type of trust can actually help you reduce your tax liability ultimately, okay? Let's talk about the next pillar, which is credit, which is OPM. So what you want to do is you want to put yourself in a position to where you are leveraging OPM, other people's money, specifically the bank's money. So one thing I need you to know is that a trust can actually build credit. So just like how you can build credit, right? A trust can build credit through the EIN. And you want to put yourself in a position to where you have an entity that you can leverage a second credit profile, because that entity is going to be building business credit, which means that you can qualify for higher lines of credit. So you want to do exactly what the bank is doing, which is leveraging OPM, right? So the bank is leveraging your money. So every time you get paid, that money goes straight into the bank, right? And they're leveraging it, they're pimping it out, and they're going and, lending it out for credit cards and car loans and student loans and mortgages, right? And so you want to also do the same thing. So you want to do what the bank's doing, and you want to also leverage OPM, and you want to also leverage their money, okay? So just keep that in mind. So now let's move on to the next one, which is invest, right? So my two favorite assets are index universal life insurance policies and real estate, okay? So let's talk about the IUL policies. So I actually love this policy. I have five policies, so not me personally, but my trust. So my trust owns five policies because there's five people in my trust. Okay, so the trust is going to be the owner of the policy. The trust is going to be the payer of the premiums, and the trust is also going to be the beneficiary of the policy. A lot of people think that life insurance is supposed to be used when they're dead, but in all actuality, life insurance is supposed to be used when they are living. That's why it's called life insurance and not death insurance. So there's a lot of living benefits. One of the major living benefits is that the money that you accumulate inside of your life insurance is tax free, right? And so that's what you want to do. You want to be able to put your money in places where it's going to grow tax free. Right. So the thing that I love about the life insurance is that one, it is an asset and it is liquid. Okay. Now, with this type of policy, right, there's a lot of living benefits, like I told you. So one of them is that it builds cash value. Another one is that it has a death benefit associated with it, right? So, for example, if anything happens to you, then, let's just say your death benefit is $1 million, $1 million is going to be paid out to the family, right? But while you're living, right, you're going to be accumulating cash value. So let's just say that you pay $100 a month for your life insurance policy, right? Well, if you pay $100 a month, right, $20 is going straight to the carrier, and that's the cost of the insurance. But now $80 is going straight into your cash value. So with your cash value, you're going to start accumulating every single time that you're making those premium payments, you're going to accumulate cash value, right? And so with this type of policy, that is very different from other policies. So every policy is different, okay? With this type of policy, you see the word index. So the word index is referring to an indice, and we're referring to the indice in the stock market. So the stock market has many different indices. The stock market has the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500, right? And so that's what the index is referring to, right? So for example, let's just say that we're referring to the S&P 500. S&P stands for Standard & Poor's 500. The 500 is referring to the top 500 companies in this country in the United States. So what's happening is that the stock is in the country, right? And so typically you will get, you'll see returns around 8 to 10%, right? So what the insurance carrier does is the insurance carrier is not going to invest your cash value into the stock market because that's too risky. What they're going to do is they're going to mirror the stock market. So meaning if the S&P 500 is doing 9%, then what the carrier is going to do is the carrier is going to give you a 9% return on your cash value. So that means that whatever you have inside of your cash value, you're going to receive a 9% return on it, which is absolutely wonderful because now your cash value is going to earn compound interest. That means that that money is going to be compounding and it's going to be growing and it's going to be doubling and tripling and quadrupling. That is what you want. You want to be able to park your money in places where it's going to grow, where every single dollar is going to go back and bring a friend, right? Every dollar goes back and brings back 9 cents, brings back a quarter, right? And so that's what you want to do. Um, that's what you want to do, right? So with this type of policy, as I mentioned, right, you want the trust to own the policy and you are going to be the insured. So your life is insured, but the trust owns the policy. The trust pays the premium. And in the event that something happens to you, the trust is the beneficiary. So that death benefit will go straight to the trust. Okay. So let's now talk about real estate, right? So when it comes to real estate, I absolutely love, 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 love real estate. I have been an investor for 11 years. So my portfolio right now is seven figures. I have multiple properties, and I the reason why I love real estate is because I came from a position where like I was living in an abandoned building, right? And I had to actually get my first job, which was at 14 years old. I went and got a job at McDonald's to help my parents pay for utilities because the lights, we just couldn't keep them on. So I saw my father fixing and flipping houses, and I just grew so passionate and have a love for it. So when it comes to real estate, what you need to know is that a trust can own real estate, right? A trust can get a mortgage. A trust can get a home equity line of credit, right? And you need to be able to put yourself and your family in that position, okay? So with the trust, right? Let's just say that the trust is going to go and get a mortgage, right? The trust can get a mortgage, which is one of my favorite types of mortgages is a DSCR, right? It stands for debt service coverage ratio, and it's only for entities, and it is to cover investment properties. So you're gonna go and buy an investment property. Let's just say you get, a duplex or a triplex, right? Let's just say you get a triplex. So you got three doors, right? And so with this triplex, right, the trust is going to get the DSCR. The DSCR, they'll give you about 80% of the purchase price. So up to 80% of the purchase price. So let's just say they give you that 80% on their mortgage, right? So now you need to go find the other 20%, right? And so where can you go to find that 20%? Well, remember we said OPM, other people's money, specifically the bank's money. So in the background, you were establishing business credit for the trust, right? And so now you have this established credit that you can then leverage. So let's just say that the trust was able to get a credit card for $50,000, right? What you're going to do is you are going to liquidate that credit card so that you can use it for a down payment for real estate. So we have this credit card. Let's just say Chase gave us, 50,000. And so what you're going to do is you're going to liquidate it. You liquidate the credit card and the money goes straight into your bank account, right? And so the first thing that you're going to do is you are going to funnel that money into your index universal life insurance policy. Why? Because you want to be able to increase your cash value inside of your policy. So we're going to go ahead and put that 50,000 into our IUL. Our cash value goes up by 50,000, right? And remember, this is an asset that has liquidity. So what's going to happen is now our cash value goes up by 50,000. And remember that we're tracking the S&P 500. So we're going to earn compound interest. Let's just say 9% on that 50,000, right? But we need that 50,000 in order to put down on real estate, right? So we're going to request a loan through the carrier. The carrier is going to look at our cash value. They're going to see that we have 50,000 and they're going to issue us a loan. And that loan is going to come from their money, from their reserves. So let's just say that they give us a loan for 49,000. So they're going to do a direct deposit and they're going to direct deposit 49,000 into our bank account. Now our 50,000 is still working inside of our IUL policy, sitting in our cash value, earning 9%. So we have officially put that money to work, okay? So now we just received a loan for 49,000, and this loan does not need to be paid back. Why? Because it's going to automatically be deducted from the death benefit once the policy, is activated, okay? So the 49,000 is sitting inside of our bank account. And so now we get to go to the closing table and we get to go ahead and purchase that triplex. 80% was from the DSCR mortgage, and then the other 20% came from the credit card. We just purchased this triplex for $0, right? So 0% of our own money, 100% financing, okay? And so what you're gonna do now is you're going to rinse and repeat, right? So then you can get a second property, third property, fourth property, right? So now let's just say it's the first of the month. So you closed on the property, good. You have your triplex, it's the first of the month, right? So each of those tenants are, giving you $2,000. So that is $6,000 in rental income. What are you going to do with that $6,000? I need to hear it from somebody. I can't be the only one talking here.
You're going to deposit to your business account or business trust?
Nope. Who else? That was a good one though. Yes, it does. It does. It does need to go straight into the bank account. But before it goes to, so after it goes to the
It
bank
goes,
you have
I'm
to
sorry.
deploy it. You have to deploy it. So obviously it's
Yeah.
gonna go to the bank account, but
It
where
goes to the IUL.
IUL,
It
yeah.
goes to your insurance.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm so proud. Y'all really getting this. Yay. Oh, you see how excited I am? Okay, yes, it goes to the IUL. So what you need to do is you need to park that money in a place where it's going to make more money. Okay? Is the $6,000 going to be working inside of your checking account? How much does the bank give you? How much does Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Chase give you? Come on, somebody tell me. Nothing. Okay. You see,
Yeah. Yeah. The
nothing.
interest they give you is really nothing.
It's really nothing, right? It's really nothing. Like you probably not even gonna get $1. So, what you need to do is you need to park that money in a place where it's actually going to grow and it's going to earn more money. So that $6,000, once it hits your bank account on the first of the month, you need to funnel it straight into your IUL. That is you putting yourself in a position to where you're going to pay yourself first before you pay any of the bills, right? Because you got mortgage and you got a credit card payment, right? Before you pay the mortgage, before you pay the credit card payment, we are so used to always paying everybody first. We pay the light company first. We pay the bank first, the credit cards first. We pay put groceries first. We do all of these things first, right? We pay our rent, gas, all this stuff first before we pay ourselves first. So it's going to take a mindset shift for you to get out of the rat race, for you to get out of living paycheck to paycheck. It's going to take that shift to where you decide, no, I'm not going to pay all of these companies first. I'm going to pay myself first, and I will pay these companies second, right? And so that $6,000 is going to go straight into the IUL. Your cash value is going to go up by 6,000. You already know that it's going to earn compound interest, and you already know that you're going to take out a loan for whatever it is that you need, right? So if you need 5,000, 5,500, 5,800, you take out that loan so that you can then go cover the mortgage, cover the credit cards, and then you can have the rest just sitting inside of your trust for future investments or maintenance, right? And so, as I mentioned, it's going to take a mindset shift in order for us to get off of the hamster wheel because we bought into the lie that society has given us. The lie that society has given us is that we need to work, right, for money, that we need to exchange our time for money, that we need to have a 9 to 5, right? In my case, I had a 12 to 12, right? Until I retired myself. I retired myself at 31 years old. I'm 36 years old today, so 5 years ago, right? And so we have bought into the lie that society has told us, right? That we have to work, what, 40 hours a week for 40 years. And then we get to retire when we're 65 years old. And at that time, then we get financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom. That is BS, right? So when I don't even know how old I was, but when I was working as a nurse, right? I had a coworker and she was so beautiful, right? Her name is Audrey. And she was 65 years old. And I could tell that she was tired. And she was already a nurse for like 40 years. And so she was so tired that she couldn't do one of her tasks. And I went to help her out because I'm just this, young 20-something-year-old nurse ripping and running. And so I asked her, I'm like, you've done your time, right? I said, when are you going to retire? And she says to me, well, I'm going to wait until I'm 67 and a half because then Social Security is going to give me an extra couple $100 and I just want to wait. So I'll just retire in 2.5 years when I'm 67 and a half. And I was like, okay, so you're going to work 2.5 more years for just a couple $100 more. Okay. And I left it like that. And unfortunately, that day never came. She never got a chance to retire because one day after work, she was so exhausted that as soon as she came out of the parking lot, she hit the tree right in front of the emergency room and she died on impact. She never made it to retirement. And so I don't want you guys to be like Audrey. I didn't want to be like Audrey, where I just bought into the system and what the system wanted for me. That's what the system wanted for her. The system wanted for her to retire at 67 and a half. The system said, I'll give you $200 more. And she bought into it. And she never made it to retirement. She never even made it home. She died right there at the hospital. So when I witnessed that, it was an eye opener for me. And I said, I am not going to live like this. I am not going to depend on Social Security. I am not going to work this hard, 12-hour shifts in my old age. No. So at that time, I was a nurse only for 2 years. I said, I'm going to give myself 10 years and I'm out. And I was able to retire myself in 8 years. I didn't even reach 10 years. I was able to retire myself in 8 years. The reason why I was able to retire myself is because I started pouring my money into real estate. And I started buying properties and not using any of my own money, getting 100% financing, buying properties, and putting these properties into a trust. Now my portfolio is 7 figures. So I need you guys to know that it's going to take a mindset shift, and it is so scary. I was terrified because my nursing paycheck was all that I knew. And last time I checked, I work hard for my career. I have a 4-year degree, work hard to be a nurse, work hard to, do all this stuff. And it was so scary. It's like, what? I'm not going to get a paycheck like every other Friday? No. So we need to do the things and we need to get the right tools and we need to make the right decisions and we need to take the leap of faith and we need to look fear in the face and say, I'm going to do this, even though it's scary. I'm going to do it while it's scary. I'm still going to be scared, but I'm still going to do it. That's what it takes in order for us to see a different way. So let's get back to the presentation. I'm about to land this plane here. So I have this one slide and then we'll open up the floor for Q&A. So what we need to do is we need to put ourselves in position to where we own nothing but control everything. So that's what a trust can do. A trust can actually put you in a position to where you own nothing but control everything. That is what we define as stewardship, right? Where you're being a good steward of the wealth, where you're being a good steward of the assets, right? Where you have direction and you have a plan in place, right? you have what we call that succession plan, right? Versus how we're operating now. A lot of us, we're operating in ownership, right? Where we are so proud to be the owners of our house. We're so proud to be the owners of our car. We're so proud to have our name on the bank account, right? This is another thing that we have pretty much been institutionalized, right? To where we bought into the lies of the system, where we are the proud owner of the house with the white picket fence, right? When in all actuality, right, you have to understand that that house, right? That house that you have there on Main Street, right? If you don't wake up tomorrow, that house is still going to be there. So in all actuality, that house is going to outlive you. So if you already know that the house is going to outlive you, then it's not you being the proud owner of the house that you want. It's you having control over the house while you're living. And so that's what a trust can do. A trust can give you control over the house while you're living, because you're operating the trust and you're the trustee. So you have full control over the house that the trust owns. So instead of us operating in ownership, we need to be operating in stewardship. Now, a lot of us, we have not really even thought of how we're going to actually transfer our wealth. We never even thought of how we're going to transfer our house, or the money in the bank account, or our stocks and our bonds and our crypto, right? We have all these assets and we're so focused on making the money. We're so focused on reaching the $1 million. We're so focused on getting the crypto and the properties, right? But we never sat and asked ourselves, how am I going to transfer this property? So the way that you actually transfer wealth efficiently and effectively is through the trust, right? So you're going to set up a trust. You're going to list your children as the beneficiaries of that trust. Your children are going to receive TCUs. TCU stands for Trust Certificate Units. Trust certificate units are just like stock certificates. So you know how stock certificates represent ownership in a corporation? TCUs represents beneficial interest in a trust. So the trust is going to create 100 TCUs, which represents 100% of beneficial interest. So for example, if I'm one of your beneficiaries and you give me 20 TCUs, that means that I have 20% of beneficial interest. If the trust is worth $1 million, then that means that means that my beneficial interest is equivalent to 20%, which is $200,000. So that is how you want to think about transferring your wealth, because your children are going to be holders, and then those TCUs are going to go to their children, and then those TCUs are going to go to their children. That is what generational wealth looks like. But we're walking around here lying, talking about we're building generational wealth because we're out here making money. It's more than just making money. If you don't have the tools for generational wealth, for the wealth to actually reach the second and third and fourth and fifth generation, then you cannot talk about you're building generational wealth, because you're not. Now, a lot of us, we never even thought about conservation of wealth or preservation of wealth, right? So how many times have we seen it to where athletes, famous families, actors, actresses, right, celebrities, right, to where they blow their money in their lifetime, or the money reaches the second generation and the second generation blows the money? We've seen it so many times. And the reason why that happens is because they don't have the right tools in order to preserve the wealth. They don't have a trust. So in order for you to preserve the wealth, there's two tools that you need. The first one is the trust. The second one is the life insurance policies. All right. So we've spoken about these two. And the reason why you need that is for this reason, right? So when it comes to preservation of wealth, right? The trust has many assets. The trust has a house, so it has homeowners insurance. The trust has a car, so it has automobile insurance. The trust has cash money in the bank, it has FDIC, right? So the trust has what we call human assets. The human assets are you and the beneficiaries, right? And so the trust needs to insure the human assets. The trust needs to insure you, all of the other trustees, all of the future trustees. The trust needs to insure all of the beneficiaries and all of the future beneficiaries. Why? Because if anything happens to you, then the trust is suffering a loss, and the trust needs to be compensated for that loss. So, if anything happens to you, then if you transition, you have a death benefit that's associated with your insurance policy. That death benefit of $2 million is going to go straight to the trust. And now the trust is replenished with $2 million because it lost a human asset, which is you. So you have to think about that, right? So now remember, the trust is going to ensure the trustees, the beneficiaries, and the future beneficiaries. Those future beneficiaries are called trust fund babies. So every time that you hear the term trust fund baby, right? For some reason, it has a negative connotation, and I don't know why, because a trust fund baby is a good thing. A trust fund baby is a baby that is born into a trust organization. So that is, the child of a beneficiary, right? And so the trust is going to insure everyone. So let's just say a baby is born into the trust. As soon as that baby is 30 days old, the trust is going to take out a life insurance policy on that baby, right? And so now the trust is going to be paying that premium, let's just say $100 a month, right? And so now that cash value is going to be accumulating, right? And so now that cash value has earned compound interest. Let's just say that this trust fund baby now grows up. They're 18 years old, right? So it's time for that trust fund baby to go to college. So the first thing they need is a new set of Hot Wheels. So they need a new car. So that trust fund baby can go to the dealership and can pull their credit and get into, an auto loan with high interest, paying $1,000 a month for the car. Or they can go to the trust. Why? Because they're a trust fund baby and they can request a loan. And so the trustee is going to say, okay, yeah, you can get a loan for $30,000 for that, that vehicle that you want to buy. And so the trustee cuts a check for $30,000 and hands it to the trust fund baby. And so now the trust fund baby goes and buys that car cash. And instead of paying the dealership $1,000, the trust fund baby is now going to pay the trust $300 to pay off that loan, right? Plus a little bit of interest. So it's a win-win situation, right? So let's just say that a year into the future, the trust fund baby's like, I don't want to pay the trust anymore. And so they default. Well, that is completely okay because the money did not originate from the trust. The $30,000 loan originated from the trust fund baby's life insurance policy. The minute that trust fund baby requested a loan, the trustee went and requested a loan from their policy. And so the carrier did a direct deposit of $30,000 into the trust, and then the trustee issued out the check for the $30,000. So we know that loan doesn't need to be paid back because it's automatically going to be deducted from the death benefit. So fast forward into the future, when that trust fund baby transitions, that $30,000 is going to be deducted from the death benefit, and whatever's left over, let's just say 1.7, is going to be going straight into the trust, and it's going to replenish the trust. So that's what preservation of wealth looks like. But once again, you need the tools in order to preserve your wealth. So these are the books that I recommend. What Would the Rockefellers Do is a really good book that teaches you about the marriage between a trust and life insurance. The Art of Passing the Buck, Volume 1 and 2 is a really good book about trusteeship. Family Wealth is a good book about running you're running your family like a business. You are the CEO of your family. Your spouse is the CFO of your family. We all need to be running our family like a business, structured. And the Complete Book of Trust, which teaches you about the different types of trust. So this is a quick video about a trustee that took action on the information that I provided tonight.
Well, kudos to you all. Again, Christina, it's been a wonderful experience. I've been looking at your videos on YouTube for a while, and there are a number of people offering trust these days, and I guess that's the big thing. Don't own anything, control everything. That kind of, I didn't say it correctly, but that is the sentiment. And so it seems like the playing field is being leveled now from the rich and people who weren't privy to this information. So thank you for being such a great asset to a community that didn't have this information. And you made it so simple. Thank you for the recordings. Thank you for the step-by-step instructions. Things that we can go back and look at. So we do appreciate you. And thank you, Mondo. That was a great explanation of infinite banking. I know a number of people are talking about that, but they make it so complex. And his presentation was nice and succinct and very informative. So this has been an overall great experience. I definitely will recommend you to others.
So take action on the information that I provided you guys with tonight, because the trust could be your new way of doing business and making profit. It could be your new way of solving a lot of the problems dealing with protecting your assets and with saving on taxes. So you want to treat this like a big business. You want to treat this like an Amazon and a Facebook, right? You don't want to treat this like a small mom and pop shop, because this is not what that is, right? This is you actually having a solid foundation, right? You're not going to build a house off of a soft foundation. And a lot of us, we've already built the house, right? And now the house is crumbling because we built it on a soft foundation. And so now it's time for us to get things solidified and get our affairs in order, because the way that we're operating now is we're not operating the right way. And we're doing ourselves and our family a disservice, right? And so we don't want to lose everything. It just takes one lawsuit. It takes one mistake in order for you to lose it all, right? We've seen it. We have seen it, right? So with that being said, let's work together. So I do have a program where I teach you step by step on how to get restructured. So the first option is for you to do it yourself, where I have a course. So in the course, it's online. You get 43 video modules. And what happens is you will learn how to set up the 3 trusts that I mentioned earlier, which is the business trust, the family trust, and the tax exempt nonprofit trust. Okay. So we provide you with the video trainings, and then we provide you with the templates so that you're able to set up your trust, right? You can create your own trust, okay? Your trust is a contract. So in contract law, you're able to establish your own contracts, okay? You get lifetime access to the course. You also get access to resources and ebooks. So the ebooks are the books that I mentioned in the previous slide. You get them in electronic version. Some of those books are priced at over $800, right? As far as the resources, we provide you with all the resources that you need in order to efficiently and effectively operate your trust. Meaning that if you need to have a board meeting for your trust, we provide you with the templates. If you need to transfer your house, we provide you with the quick claim deed. If you need to transfer your car, we provide you with the bill of sales. So we provide you with everything that you need. We also have a community. So our community is 1,300 trustees, and you have full access to them through our private Facebook, as well as our Telegram chat, where you're able to chat back and forth with other like-minded individuals, okay? These are individuals who have been operating within trustee for years, trusteeship for years, and they are pretty much where you want to be, right? And so the do-it-yourself course is only $997. And then we have the second option, which is done with you. Done with you, which is where we do it together. Okay, so that means that we do it together on Zoom. It's in a workshop style setting. So our workshop is going to be next week, Monday through Friday, from 11 in the morning to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Monday, we set up the business trust together. So the business trust is 50 pages. So I break down every single paragraph of the trust so that you can understand the contents of the trust so that you're able to operate the trust the right way. One thing that I've seen being in this industry for over a decade is that people, they will set up a trust and they don't know how to operate it. And a trust is the most powerful entity in the entire world, right? I have been to several different continents, right? You can operate a trust in all the continents, right? And so it's the most powerful entity, but if you don't know how to use it, it's just a stack of papers. And so you need to learn how to actually operate a trust, right? So with that being said, you're not going to know how to operate it if you don't know what's inside of it. So I break down every single paragraph of the trust so that you can learn what's inside of it, okay? After we go through setting up the trust, then I open up the floor for Q&A so that I can answer any and every question that you have. Tuesday, we focus on the family trust. So we break down all the paragraphs so that you can understand the contents, and then we open up the floor for Q&A. One thing that I absolutely love about being in the workshop is that there are other people on the Zoom call, just like here, where they're asking really good questions that you didn't know you wanted to know. So you end up learning more by being in that environment. We cultivate a really good environment for you to actually learn, right? Now, on Wednesday, we focus on the nonprofit tax exempt trust. So we break down how to actually set it up. And then I give you the steps on becoming an ordained minister if you want to operate it as a ministry. On Thursday, we focus on OPM, other people's money. So we show you how to get your EIN number with the IRS, give you a list of banks, show you how to actually open up your bank account. We go through banking procedures and operations, how to have a board meeting so that you can go open up your bank account, how to actually document how much you're going to fund the trust with. So we use that through promissory notes. And then we have one of our educators who comes in and teach you about business credit and business funding so that you can get the money that you need. Yes, this is live. So that you can get the money that you need in order to actually fund the trust, right, and get the assets. And then on Friday, what happens is we focus on assets, right? So I am going to teach you how to transfer your property, so your real estate. So we do that using a quick claim deed. So I show you how to fill out the deed, and then from there, how to process it through the county recorder's office. And then for the vehicles, we go through the bill of sale. And then for your businesses, we go through the business purchase agreement and then how to do the amendments with the articles of organization for the Secretary of State. So we show you all of that. And then after that, our CPA comes in and teaches you about trust taxes, about the 1041 form, so that you guys can get educated on how to reduce your taxes and how to file taxes for the trust. So that is the workshop. And you get lifetime access to the workshop. So every single time that we do a workshop, so we do the workshops every 4 weeks. So next week is the next workshop, okay? Monday through Friday, 11 to 2 EST. After that, we have it February, March, and April. You get access, lifetime access to every single live workshop. The workshops are also recorded. So if you miss one, or if we're going too fast, or if you want to review it again, the workshops are recorded. You have lifetime access to the recordings, okay? So the workshop is only $2,500. And then the last option is done for you. Done for you is where my team and we will set up your 3 trusts for you. We'll apply for your EIN. We'll transfer all your assets. So it's really, you get individualized support, you get extended support, and we really customize everything. And you get that sense of security to know that everything is done correctly. So the done for you is only $7,500. So with that being said, you can go to our website. So the website is wealthytrustee.com, and I'll show you what the course looks like. I'll also show you what a trust looks like right now so that you guys can better understand. And for those of you guys that are on the call, you can enjoy 20% off in the next 24 hours if you enroll. So you can use the discount code TRUST20. And from now until tomorrow at midnight, you can enjoy 20% off. So let me show you what the actual, what a trust looks like. So this, oh, hold on one second. Let me go back. There we go. So this is an example of what one of our templates look like. So everything that you see in red is what you will be customizing. And as I mentioned, me breaking down all the paragraphs, I break down everything so that you can better understand the contents of what's inside of the trust. This is what the course looks like. So if you enroll into the course or any of the programs, then you get full access to the course. You get lifetime access. So we start with trust entity. You learn what a trust is. You learn the different parties involved in the trust and the different types of trust and the benefits. Then you learn how to actually set up the nonprofit trust. You learn how to set up the private family trust, and you learn how to set up the business trust. Then we go into tax strategies where you learn how to operate tax exempt, and you learn the difference between the for-profit and nonprofit entities. And then we go into asset protection, where first you take an inventory of your assets, then you learn how to open up the bank account, the brokerage accounts, how to do the quick claim deeds, the bill of sales, the life insurance policies, and how to have board meetings for your trust. Then we go into wealth creation, where you learn how to build credit for the trust, how you learn how to invest in the stock market with the trust brokerage accounts, and the life insurance policy with infinite banking. You learn about the legacy crest, and then you have your resources and your ebook. So with that being said, we are all done with the webinar. So if you guys have any questions, I am here to answer any and all questions that you guys might have. So I'll also look inside of the chat, but if you have any questions, please raise your hand, come off mute, let me know if I can answer anything for you. And the webinar is recorded, so you can get the replay. The replay is going to be on YouTube, so you can visit our YouTube channel, which is 7 Ways to Wealth. All right, Heather has a question. Hey, Heather.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for this session. It was very, very informative. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Heather. Thank you so much for those kind words.
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions actually. How many businesses? I have like multiple businesses, like 3. Can I put them all in the holding company?
You can, but you want to separate it between low liability and high liability. So you don't want a high liability in the same trust as a low liability business.
Okay. And then in terms of when you for the children, right? When you're like when you mentioned like the family trust and such, is that where you put the life insurance policy inside of the family trust?
Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. Yeah, you can put it in any trust, but you definitely want to put it into the family trust, and you want to ensure everyone who's in the family trust. So all of the children that are beneficiaries and you, and if you have a co-trustee.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome, Heather. Thank you. All right, next we have Malibu. I hope I said that correctly. Did I say that correctly? Please correct me.
Malibu.
Malibu.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Hi
beautiful.
there.
Hi, how are you?
So my question is, if you already have an existing 501(c), is that recommended to be part of these structures, or since it's a public entity, is that not recommended to put it under a trust?
Yeah, so you want to keep it separate. And if you were to incorporate it within your structure, then you would have the nonprofit charitable trust be on the board of your 501.
Okay, all right. And what about a private foundation?
Uh-huh. What about it?
Would that be recommended that it now gets owned by a trust?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next we have Ty.
Yeah, you got it. Hey, Christina,
Hey, how are you?
you're excellent teacher. You really
Thank
broke all this down. Really,
Thank
really
you.
well. You can tell you
I hope it's easily digestible.
much more than I'm used to because I'm sure many of us have heard some version of these things before, but I really like the way you broke it down because this is kind of like I think why it holds so many of us up is we understand it maybe can like generally, but like what it really the meaning of all these things and why we need to structure it the way we the way we do. I think you're probably the person that has explained this the best that I've ever heard. So thank you for that. That's
Thank
one.
you for saying that. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So my first question is, you mentioned that a judge would not try to pierce the veil of a revocable trust, and I was going to ask why.
Irrevocable, irrevocable.
Okay, sorry. So okay, they would try to pierce the veil of a revocable trust. And
Yeah.
why is that?
Just because of the nature of the contract. So because the contract is revocable, that means that the grantor has revocability. So that means that the grantor still has power, control, and is administering the trust. So they would pierce right through it just because it's revocable.
So the
Right?
judge they have a little bit more, I guess, control to kind of pierce through than they would with an irrevocable, is kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, correct. And it's due to the nature of the contract.
Okay, interesting. And then also just generally with all the different paperworks and things when we're creating these trusts and updating them, how do you do that? Like where do you save trust documents? Like how do you keep them updated? Like how does one keep all this straight?
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good question. So I always tell people that you want a hard copy, and then you also want a digital version, an electronic version just in case, right? Like we have members in our community that they were affected by the LA fire and their trust got destroyed, right? And so you don't want to be in that position. So the first thing is that you want to have multiple original versions. You want to have these trusts in separate areas. So you're gonna get a trust binder, and you're going to operate and maintain all of your documents in your trust binder. So there's going to be several sections in your trust binder. So initially, the first section is going to be for your indenture, and then if you have any contracts, if you do any amendments, or if you do any meetings, you'll have that in the second section. Then if you have any liabilities like utilities and stuff like that, then you're going to have all of your assets after that. So you're going to have pretty much everything like organized and laid out. And you want to have that tangible version, which is in the binder, which is physically like with you. And then you also want to have a digital version just in case. And so I personally use I use an external hard drive. And from there, I have a folder and I separate it between all of my documentation.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And so once you have the trust, especially if it's irrevocable, once you've got it and you've got it, you've got your hard copies, you've got an e-doc, you have it, you're good. There's no like you got to update it every year with the county and all this kind of stuff, right? Like once you have it, you have it.
Yeah, you don't have to update it. You don't have to update it in any year with anybody. So it's you operating it. Okay. So what you're describing is for statutory entities like LLCs where you gotta like update it with the Secretary of State and stuff. We don't do that with the trust. Once you legalize your trust, you can run it for 50 years, 100 years, right? And so it's just going to be you operating it. So you have to have board meetings for your trust. You have to have a meeting for your trust. And there's where all the documentation happens on an annual basis. So for the trust, it's required that you have at least one annual meeting.
Okay, that's good to know. And it makes sense that you would, I'm glad you said that, like you would need to have meetings to keep, I guess the trustee and whoever else apprised of what's going on. And one kind of last thing, and it may have been a video I seen on YouTube, and with a trust, the terms of the trust can be enforced while you, as I guess the grantor, I'm hoping I'm getting this right, still learning, is still alive. It's not like once you die, then the trustee takes over. Or is it something that it can be enforced while you're still alive? Maybe help me understand that a little bit better.
So, the trust is so everything that's inside of the trust is supposed to be carried out, even while you're alive. So you want to be the trustee, so that you can carry out the bylaws.
Okay. Okay. But it also has provisions upon your demise, correct? Like
You
when I
can,
say
you
your, I mean,
you can place them in there. So I feel like you're kind of mixing it up with like an estate, where, you have an executor that is going to go ahead and carry out all of your, last wishes when you transition. But a trust is designed to be ran like a business, right? To where it's like it has that continuity where it's always continuing to operate until it's terminated. So even though you transition, it's already designed to outlive you anyways. So everything is going to be carried out now while you're living, and it's going to continue to be carried out when you transition. Now you can have provisions in place on certain things, but it's not that you transition and the trust is terminated. The trust is not terminated, and it shouldn't be terminated. It should continue to operate by your successor trustee.
okay. So the trust or trust plural would be part of your estate. It's not the estate itself. Is that is that right? Like my trusts, if I have multiple trusts, they would be
Oh,
part.
so the trust is an estate. So it is an estate. The trust entity is an estate.
Okay. Okay.
Now you can have multiple trusts.
hmm That's recommended, right? For different reasons.
You do not want to have all of your assets in one trust.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think I'm trying to separate trust from, like you were saying, from a will, which would take me to probate, for example, and then just what happens upon demise and like kind of
Yeah,
figuring out, the
yeah,
differences.
so
Yeah.
so traditionally when we use the word estate, it means that an estate is where they create this entity for a dead person. So you're thinking more from that standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Christina.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next we have Brian.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Hey, Brian.
Amazing. Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good, good. So I have a couple questions. So I don't have any children yet. If I make an irrevocable trust, would I be able to, as the trustee, to add beneficiaries as my children later on?
Yes. You can make any changes as the trustee.
Okay, amazing. And then the second one, with the 508 one, the ministry trust, I want to to create a business, a brand based behind love that would be a ministry, do you suggest to have two different trusts for that and then one for my family and my structure setup, or can I do it out of the same ministry trust and then just be paid as like a CEO or the trustee?
So it depends. It depends on if you want it to be for profit or nonprofit. So I think you might want to do like for profit, and then if you have like the philanthropic endeavors, you incorporate it with the 508.
Okay, so run the business out of a business one and
Out
then
of the business trust if it's for profit, and then whatever the charity or the nonprofit side of it is, which a lot of us do have a side of our business that's more charitable. You have that as an extension, which is the 508.
okay. And they would essentially be like partners and you roll profits to save on taxes to the nonprofit.
Yes, so you'll do charitable contributions from the business trust to the 508.
And if I were to just do the ministry and have a nonprofit, could everything be ran and put back into it? I don't care to make much money off of it. It's more for the mission. As long as I'm paid enough to live and structure this and fund the other trusts and then fund me. If I did a ministry and just poured it back into the business and cut profits and just kept pouring it back in and then just gave myself a cut as the CEO or trustee, is that
Yep.
that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah, so yes, you can do that. So you can run it and you can be compensated as the trustee. And so you determine, so the compensation is discretionary, you determine what the compensation is.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Brian. Next we have Ed. Hey, Ed, are you available? I see that you're still on mute.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're
Well,
so
first of
welcome.
all, it is truly an honor and happy New Year to meet you. Wow.
Happy New
You-
Year, Ed.
Yes, I am so honored. The information you have is just tremendous. Uh,
Thank you. I
I had a
appreciate that.
question. Yeah, I got a lot of questions, but I guess based on the various entry levels of your programs, because I guess you on one program we have one-on-one access to get most of our questions answered or strategies. I guess ran past you. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, that's done for you where me and you will meet privately, and you can disclose like what your structure is, and we will get you restructured, and then my team and I will put together all of your trusts, and we'll set up everything for you based off of your restructure plan.
Okay, and I did have a couple of quick questions, but based on your program structure, so if you came in on the do-it-yourself, could you, once you get more familiar with the program, could you increase to the next level, to the level where the, what is it, the $7,500 level, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can upgrade at any point in time. So if you wanted to get into the course or the workshop, you can get in there. And if you feel like you don't want to do it by yourself, or if you need more accountability or for us to take over, then we can take over. You can upgrade at any point in time. And a lot
Yeah,
of
I know I can't do this by myself. But Uh, and I was so late, but regarding a mortgage, if you have a mortgage and your home is more than, 30%, or I would say 70% paid off, can you put that in a trust?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you have the deed to your home, and as long as the deed is in your name, then you're able to redeed the property over. Your mortgage is going to remain intact, is going to remain on your credit, and nothing's going to happen with your mortgage. So you are able to protect that property and put it into the trust.
Oh, if you have the deed.
Yeah, as long as you have the deed. Yeah.
You
So
have to get the deed. Okay.
yeah, so
Awesome.
so you should have the deed to your property.
Absolutely. And are you able to monitor? So, and the other question, are you able to raise capital through a trust for a business?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Well, happy New Year. You know, I can't wait. If I spend a year with you, boy, I'm telling you,
I
I'm
know.
all the way
I know.
up.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to working with you, getting some things in order. But thank you so much. Keep up the good work and bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate you.
All
Uh,
right. Thank you. Bye.
you're welcome. Next, we have Cookie Wisdom.
Hi, Christina. How are you? Can you hear
I'm
me?
great. Yeah, perfect. How are you?
Well, Happy New Year to you as
Happy
well.
New Year. Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, the one great thing about these things that my question was definitely answered just now previously, but thank you so much for the wealth of information. I really appreciate it. I came on here because I don't have a will or a trust, and I'm really embarrassed by that. But my husband and I have 6 children. And I heard so many horror stories where people have passed away and their children had to go through probate, and it wasn't really a great experience. So now my mindset has definitely shifted. So my question to you is, which you probably just answered that in Ed's question. I have like $30,000 left on my mortgage. Is it better to do the trust now or wait till it's paid off?
Yes, no, you don't want to wait. Anything can happen. Tomorrow's not promised. You don't want to wait.
Right. And then my second question to you is, if I don't want to do this by myself, I'm like Ed, I would rather for someone to do it for me. So if I go and get the $7,500 one, will I have access to the $2,500 entry level and get all the information as well?
Yeah, you get access to everything. So you get the program and then you get to attend the workshops live. So you get access to everything.
Oh, that's great. And the third question is, when you do the irrevocable trust, if I'm saying this right, and say like I pass away, are you able to have more than one successor listed in the irrevocable trust? Like say my husband, and then he passed away, and then I could list more like my oldest. Is that how that works?
Yeah, so you have successor trustee nominees, and so you can nominate multiple people. And so they'll it's in succession. So it'll be the first nominee, second nominee, third nominee.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, this was great. I saw you on YouTube, and my husband actually showed me a video of you, and I got that's the reason why I'm on tonight. And I definitely appreciate all the information. It's so helpful. I think as you know, we don't talk about these things. The reason why a lot of people don't know about it. But I'm so glad that I listened, and I'm all in now. So I'm ready to put my home into a trust and make sure generational wealth is definitely passed down to my family, my children, and nobody has to struggle after me. You know what I'm saying? So thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, especially like you have 6 children, so you definitely want to make sure that they receive, what is owed to them and what you and your husband work so hard for.
Right. And you're never too old to learn. And
Yeah.
that's great. I'm learning from someone who's half my age, which is beautiful. Thank you so much, Christina.
Hey, you're so welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for I'm grateful to your husband for showing you the video and for you
Yeah,
the
he
workshop.
loves you. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna take a look. So ultimately, I make the decisions in the home. So
right. We know who wear the pants.
All right, thank you. And have a great night, everyone. And Happy New Year to everyone on the call.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next we have is it Kia Edwards?
Hi, Kaya. Good
Hiya.
evening.
Thank you for correcting me. Your picture is so pretty. How are you, Kaya?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing well. Hanging in there. So I have a quick question. So I went through someone else before I stumbled upon your YouTube channel with a lot of this information. I've already used someone to help me set up a 508c1a.
Okay.
I just haven't gone to the bank. Like I got the documents notarized, but I haven't gone to the bank to formally set it up yet.
Okay.
But my question is, I also have 2 LLCs, and if I got the DIY package, what would be the next order of business? Would it be to set up the business trust first because of the 2 LLC? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Absolutely.
that goes inside of the 508c1A?
No, it's separate. So for-profit and
Oh,
nonprofit is separate. So you're gonna set up the business trust and then you'll have the LLCs go inside of the business trust. The business trust is gonna own both of them.
I see. And then after that, the family trust.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it in the right order.
Yep, you
Okay.
sure are. Absolutely.
All right. Well, that was really my only question. Thanks so much. I appreciate your help.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have John. Hey, John, how are you? Hey, John, you're still on mute.
Yes, so my question is, how do I restructure my revocable trust that's already established? My estate planner led me to believe that my assets are protected while living, but they only protected after death and after they are distributed to the beneficiary. I need a modification of my presently established revocable trust, and thankfully, I did not sign and forward the signature pages and quitclaim deed back to the estate planner or fund it yet. Thank God for procrastination there. I guess it was because I was to meet you. But furthermore, my estate planner does not do irrevocable trust, only revocable. So I'm just trying to see how, because my main purpose was, hey, own nothing, control everything. That was my fundamental purpose, and revocable doesn't. And so he was not really listening or looking out for my best interest, obviously.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Let me just understand this clearly.
Yes.
The revocable trust, is it executed already or it's not executed?
Well, it's already I have the binder, it's been dated, notarized, but I just haven't done the quick claim thing, for
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
so you have the revocable trust and it's already executed. You just haven't transferred your property in there.
Right. So he's supposed to do something, but still on the instructions that he wanted me to do after the meeting, me and my wife, he said that I need to send back via email a separate attachments, which would be the signature pages and the quick claim deed. And then fill out other things such as revocable living trust, certification of trust, last will of testament, comprehensive transfer agreement, and funding instructions. Those are the things I need to input the date of the trust in those following tab sections in my tab binder, if you will. And so that's where I am, but I was talking to one of your reps yesterday morning, and she said that no, I need to contact you and try to get restructured because again, I feel like the door has been open a little bit by not being protected from lawsuits as well as creditors.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so you're correct, John. So unfortunately, your assets are not going to be fully protected.
Right.
They're not going to be fully protected with a revocable.
Mhm.
One thing that I want you to know and be aware of is that
Okay.
with the revocable trust,
Mhm.
once you transition, it becomes irrevocable
Right.
because the grantor has transitioned. So you're the
Exactly.
grantor, and once you transition, it's automatically irrevocable because you can't make any changes because you don't exist anymore. So,
Mhm.
but that is after the fact. So there's no way for you to change your trust, like the nature of your trust. So it is revocable. There's nothing for you to do. There's no way for you to change it. That's the nature of it. So you would have to create a new trust, which is irrevocable. So if you want to create a new trust, which is irrevocable, so that you can actually place that asset that you want to protect. Because, for example, if your asset is a property, it sounds like it's a property, a home. You don't want it
Mhm.
you don't want it to be in a revocable trust because then creditors can come after it. You can get foreclosed on or bankruptcies or any of those things. So if you want it to be fully protected, then you want it to be in an irrevocable. So you would have to create a separate trust, which is irrevocable in nature.
So if I do one irrevocable in nature, does that cancel out the negate the revocable?
No, it doesn't.
Automatically?
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
You're just going to have two trusts, one revocable, one irrevocable. So
pretty much the same items in it, the my bank accounts things for my daughter, which is the beneficiary, and the trustees and the home. Just basically the same things, but it's just irrevocable in nature, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's irrevocable.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to be protected. And so you can incorporate the irrevocable one into what you already have that's existing.
Okay, so lastly, I just want to make sure in summary that I keep what I have, revocable. I just go and get an estate plan or whoever to execute and help me establish a irrevocable, which pretty much has the same things that are in the revocable.
Yeah, so me and my team, we can assist you with the irrevocable one. It sounds like you just want one specifically for your family because you have beneficiaries and you have a property.
Yeah.
So me and my team, we can assist you with setting that one irrevocable up. But yes, you do want to do that. So you want to have one that is completely separate from what you already have that's existing. So you'll still have the revocable one, but you can use it, but you don't want to place any assets, especially a house.
Okay, so all right, so I take the house out of the revocable and
Mhm. It,
then
it doesn't sound like the house is inside of the revocable already because you didn't execute the deed. So there wasn't a legal transfer that happened.
no, I didn't
Yeah, you
he
said
said
you
he was
didn't
gonna
sign
do
the deed,
something, but I don't think I did my part.
right? Yeah. So you didn't legally transfer the property yet.
Okay. All right. I think I get that. And so, all right, I just do everything the same. Just take that thing out of the revocable, put it in the irrevocable, and then that would take precedence over the. I get it. Okay, I got you. Thank you. I'll be in contact with you about that
You're
because
welcome.
I
Thank you,
really don't
John.
trust anybody else. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, you're welcome. Next we have Yah Bless.
Hey there, Christina. May grace and favor be upon you, and thanks for your great support and teachings.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Sorry, it's so late here. I'm half asleep, but I'm so blessed and grateful to be with you in your presence. Thanks again for your service. Thanks for reaching back to me via email, but your answer really broke my heart because you said that you don't deal with clients from the UK. So I'm thinking, oh no, what can I do and what should I do? Because
Yeah.
you're a great teacher and a great support, and I'm thinking, oh no, that's really shattered my thoughts, and I don't know what can, is there any way that any one of your reps or someone can support, or I don't know.
Yeah. So we have a lot of people who are outside of the United States that are needing our assistance. So we are going to be launching an international program. I'm not sure when it's going to go live, but we're going to help you establish an international trust that can be used in every single jurisdiction. And so you'll be able to use that in the UK. But right now the program is not, it's not available as of yet. That's the only thing that we would have to assist you, because the trust that we have now with our existing program is used domestically in the US and US territories. So it won't really be able to assist you unless you do your own due diligence and your own research to see if you're able to use an international or a foreign trust in the UK.
Well, I'm still learning. I'm still watching your videos, which are great. So, and also I did share with you the last Zoom that I was on with you, backstory with regards to my parents and the probate stage.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through late this year anyway.
Sorry.
So yeah, I know. So I've got that to go through for this year. But I would love for you guys, if there is some form of hope that you could be established and ready to do international by maybe beginning of next year, that would be great.
Yeah, we're definitely going to launch the program this year. We have a lot of international community members that have, property overseas, and so a lot of people need to be able to have access to an international trust that they can use in any country. So that is something that we're currently working on.
Okay, so that's a shining light and there's hope.
Yes.
So I'm grateful to that. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. Thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome.
I'll continue to keep watching your videos, learn, make my notes and everything. So I'm ready when you're ready. Thank you so much, my
You're
dear.
so welcome, and have a good night. And thank you so much
And
for
you.
being here tonight.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Next we have Leviticus.
Good evening, Christine.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, great. You're hearing me. Great. Hey,
Yeah.
I've been trying to get on this forever. I had a buddy of mine actually gave me a little more confidence. Stu Jonas, he actually have shared this with me. Yeah. So
I know
I'm
Jonas.
here. Hey,
Yeah.
first of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year and happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you, and thank you for the belated birthday. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Anytime. Great. So let me get into it. I just have a few, so I won't take up too much time for anyone else. So the EIN. So the EIN, when you request the EIN with our IRS, is that public or private?
Yeah, so it's private. It's private, and it's just internal with the Internal Revenue Code. So they don't like sell any of your information, and it just stays within their database.
Awesome. Okay, great. Next question. The EIN, would it be best to call them personally or to do it online?
So we do it online. So you can either do it online or you can do it manually through the SS4 form. But it's easier to do the form online so that you can get the EIN instantly. You can get that confirmation letter instantly, and the application takes like 5 to 7 minutes.
Awesome. So within that, I'm trying to stay in the realms of everything here, gathering and connecting everything. So when you apply for the EIN, is it best to wait maybe like 30 minutes or to an hour so you won't be confused when you actually apply for the different EINs?
So you actually have to wait 24 hours to get you're only allowed to get one EIN per day.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Per 24 hours.
Okay. And last but not least, I promise this is the last thing. When you register your trust, right? When you register, does it matter what state? Can you do it in multiple states, or do you have to do it in one individual state?
Yeah, so you have to choose one state as the domicile of the trust, which is the residency of the trust. You have to choose one state.
One state. So you can't do it in multiple states. You got to do just one.
Correct, but the nature of the trust is that you can operate in the whole nation. So you just have to choose one state where the trust is domiciled or like registered, established in that one state, and then you can use it in all of the states.
Awesome. That's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, so you're not restricted to the one state where you're establishing it.
Okay, great. Well, I'm excited for next week. I'll be entering in a class next week, and I'm truly excited about it. And you are a beacon of light and a great teacher that actually give us a great foundation. I've actually participated in maybe like probably about 2 or 3 trust courses, but yours is phenomenal, and I like to thank you for that.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, and I'm looking forward to you participating in the workshop. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay, well, you have a great evening. Thank you.
You too. Good night. Thank you so much. All right. Next we have Brian. And then we have, I think it's Where One.
Hey, so to clarify on the question, I don't have children for the beneficiary. Who would you suggest to put in that space until I do have children?
That's a really good question. So I would tell you to put your next of kin in that space. And if you don't have one, then you can put an entity. So for example, like a charity or a business or another trust. If you don't have a next of kin that you want to put, but you can leave it blank. So you don't have to list the beneficiary if you don't want to. So you can have the trust with no beneficiary until the beneficiary is born. But I would tell you that best practice is for you to at least put somebody because you never know, right? And
Yes.
so whoever, as of today, even though you don't have children, as of today, right? Who would you want to receive, the $100,000 that you have in your bank account, right? Just think of that person or that.
Okay. Okay. And then with that being an entity, do you need an LLC to run like the business aspect of it, that side, or can you run the business from that business trust?
You can run the business straight from the trust. You don't need an LLC.
Okay, perfect. Last thing, if I do decide to go with the charity for the brand and the uh, business, just to confirm, do you suggest to make a separate one that's not tied to like my family stuff and my trio structure with the other three?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Brian. Thank you. All right, next we have where is it? Where one? Where one?
We are one.
We are one. We are one. Thank you so much. We are one.
Yes, yes. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Yes, I'm well. I have a question about submitting your trust information for like a title company if you're purchasing a property. Is it necessary to give them your entire trust, or would they? What documents should you give them as
Give
far
them
as?
give them the certificate of trust. The
Okay.
certificate of trust.
Okay, okay. And could you elaborate a little more, or I don't know if you went over the Foreign Grantors Trust,
Yeah,
briefly?
I didn't talk about it.
Okay, would you be able to just briefly go into it a little bit, or should
Well,
that be something?
it's not a part of the program. So I only talk about the trusts that are a part of the program.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for that information. Have a good evening.
You're welcome. Next we have Femi. Femi, are you available? You're still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Wonderful. Thank you again for your wonderful presentation and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I live in Canada and I've looked into trust both on the state side and the Canadian side. I saw your YouTube and in a little bit of my research, I found out that the American trusts are definitely stronger based on the Constitution as well. Do you help Canadian clients?
No, right now we're just assisting US clients.
Okay, good to know. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And then lastly, we have Ricardo.
Hello, Christina.
Hey, how are you?
So, happy belated birthday. Actually, I
Thank
found
you.
a couple of weeks before your birthday, I was researching the 508 and started looking into your videos. I actually bought the workshop, so I'll be seeing you next week.
Yay, awesome. I'm excited.
So, my questions were, I have a 1099 check that I would like to put into one of these trusts. Is that a
Okay.
possibility?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can endorse the check into the trust. And if you want to, if you're still doing 1099 activity, you can have that activity now be under the business trust if you would like.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
And the next one, I know you mentioned not to do a trust under your own name, but would it be a possibility to do that for my W-2 employment? Just for that purpose? And once I get those funds, just transfer them to a different trust?
So there is a strategy where you can name a trust after your first and last name if you would like to do that.
Yeah, just so I can keep my social away and just do an EIN, and that those, profits will go to whatever trust.
Yep, that is a very unique strategy.
Okay. And the next thing, I still haven't received any links to the Telegram and the private Facebook group.
Okay, so I can have Ivy reach out to you. So I'm gonna send Ivy a message and she will be able to get you the invitation links for both communities, for the community in the chat.
Okay, I appreciate that. And are any of these trusts, do they have to file taxes?
Yes. So the business trust and the family trust are for-profit entities and they require a 1041. So you are going to hear from our CPA and he'll show you how to fill out the 1041 and he'll answer all your tax questions regarding those two.
Okay, sounds good. And the last question was, I guess someone else answered or asked the same question. Foreign trusts. You said you're going to have them available later on,
Right,
probably this
yeah.
week.
Yeah, so this program it only focuses on domestic trust, so that's all that I educate on right now. So we have an international trust, which is a foreign trust that you can use in all jurisdictions, and that's going to be a separate program that we'll be launching.
Okay, sounds good. And my last question, where can I get those ebooks?
So they're inside of the program. If you scroll down to the bottom, it says ebooks, and then you just click on it, and all the electronic books are there.
Sounds good. Well, then that answers all my questions, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Ricardo. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, I'll see you next week then.
Yes, I'll see you on Monday.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and lastly, we have V, and then we are going to wrap it up for tonight. I'm super excited that you guys stayed on for the entire webinar. V, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I was late, unfortunately, so I missed a lot, and I will go over the recording, so not to
Oh,
bother you too much.
okay.
I am going to go do the 2,500. That's the most affordable for me,
Yes,
and I
ma'am.
would love to be able to learn it, of course, myself, and give it to the people that will be before me soon.
Yeah.
Um, so I will definitely bring you before them. Um, so I am already have a nonprofit, and I have bumped into people that say they're helping, but it's just not been good information or help. So I tried to obtain a 501, in which I paid way too much for. And then the gentleman would just every one little thing he wanted to charge me a few thousand for. And so I said, let me learn this myself. I lost the 501 C3 that I purchased from him because the CPA kept saying he was filing or something and he just didn't do it right. I lost it. So but I am definitely interested in learning, of course, more business, but of what you're teaching about the trust. And but I wanted to know that I have to have the 501 before I uh get a trust.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay. I completely understand, yeah. And so like with what we have the 508 it's an automatic exemption, so you don't have to file for a 501. You're automatically exempt from federal taxes, and you can qualify to be exempt from other forms of taxes like sales taxes, property taxes, county taxes, city taxes, state taxes, all those other forms of taxes. Um, so, what was your other question?
It basically, I just wanted to know, with me having the nonprofit already, I could still put it in the trust.
You can, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And I'll not keep you. I'm going to take that class.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we look forward to seeing you in the workshop. It's going to be very interactive, and it's going to be a lot of information. And we have two other educators that are going to be educating you on credit, funding, taxes. So it's going to like really put you in a position to where you feel encouraged and you feel equipped to be able to operate as a trustee. And that's what we want. We want you to, to have that confidence to know that you're able to operate your trust yourself, and that you're able to operate within trusteeship, and you're able to be a good steward of those assets. So it's going to be a phenomenal week next week. It's Monday through Friday. So just, get prepared, because it's going to be a lot of information in a short period of time, but everything's going to be recorded, and you can always go back and rewatch everything and go at your own pace.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Ms. V. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate you being here.
Bless you.
You're welcome. God bless you. And then Heather, you have another question?
Yeah, sorry. So can you put I have an S corporation. Can I put that into the business trust or only
You,
LLCs?
you cannot. It can only be LLC or C Corp. So yeah, a C Corp and an LLC, not an S Corp, because of the nature of an S Corp. It
Oh,
has to have a human behind it.
okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for being here and participating in the Wealthy Trustee webinar. So as I mentioned, next week is the workshop. So if you guys are ready to attend the workshop, we are going to be starting. It's going to be Monday through Friday from 11 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those of you guys that want to take action, you can enjoy 20% off in the next 24 hours using the discount code TRUST20. So it's just all one word and the number together on our website, wealthytrustee.com. So without further ado, I want everyone to know that you guys are the generational curse breakers in your family. So just take heed to the information that I provided tonight. Go ahead and do your own research and your own due diligence to make sure that a trust is good for you and your family, because now what you're doing is, right, you're breaking those generational curses and those chains that are in your lineage, and you're going to be training the next generation to be trustees, right? And so you're going to be changing the trajectory of their life. So your kids and your kids' kids and the many generations into the future. So I just want to commend you and tell you that I'm proud of you and the actions that you're taking for your family. So without further ado, you guys have amazing rest of your Wednesday and rest of your week. And I will see you guys on Monday for those of you guys who are going to attend the workshop. Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you.